Good morning, Chatterbox. Today is Tuesday, August 8th, in the long-awaited, anticipated viewing of Mr. Socol has happened. Good morning, boys.
Good morning.
Host.
Good morning.
Glad we were able to get the technical difficulties figured out from last episode.
Fool me once, shame on me. That's about it. That's all I got. Glad to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tom, how are you?
Doing excellent. I'm sweating my A** off right now. It is hot here at the beach.
Yeah, looks like you're in, New Jersey?
Wildwood Crest, New Jersey. Yeah, we're hanging out here and with the in-laws, my wife and her family.
Beautiful. Maddie, you're at the beach too, aren't you?
Yes, sir. North Carolina. Looking
The
for
real
satellite
king of the
offices.
South.
Maddie, thank God we have nice in-laws. Not, we'd never go on the vacation.
Amen.
And old reliable back in the jungle, Anthony.
What's up, man?
You didn't sink on Lake Erie Friday?
No, sir. No, sir.
How was it? Did you take
That's
the RV
nice, man.
up and then just go hang out in the RV?
It's like the Florida of Pittsburgh, man. So that lake is like never ending. So
White sandy beaches.
I don't know about that, but it's pretty nice.
Well, good to have you boys here today. Big episode, of course, with the viewing of Matt. You know, I did think of maybe we should keep him as a black screen forever and never show his face. The president might say that would help his business, but we're going to go with we'll show his face. King of the South. Happy to have him on. Glad we could bring him in. It just looks better with a full screen, frankly. For the four horsemen.
4 horsemen. I like it.
All right, but in reality, with interest rates going up here, everyone's asking, right? Oh, the market's going to crash. The market's going to die. There's no buyers. People are still buying houses. Doesn't matter what interest rates are. Obviously, we'd like to see them a little bit lower, but it is what it is. We got to deal with what the market has dealt us right now. The beautiful thing about the real estate market and mortgages is it is a market that continuously moves. So we have some products that come, some products that go. Sometimes you won't hear of a certain product for a little while. One of those items is seller assistance. We all know the last couple of years has been a major seller's market where buyers have been practically cutting off their left arm to get into a house. And that's starting to slowly maybe kind of shift in the Pittsburgh market, where now buyers may have a little bit more option, not going over asking or maybe asking for seller assistance. I think we all believe a great way to offset some of the higher costs of the interest rates is buyers able to ask for seller assistance to keep some of these closing costs a little bit lower. So to start off, there's 4 main mortgage programs. There's 4 beautiful men on the screen. We're all going to take a program and go over it. So it only makes sense that senior goes first. Pick of the wheel, Anth. All 4 programs are available. Which one are you going with?
I'm going VA all day. So VA is probably
like it. You go tough, baby.
I'm going VA. It's probably the most underrated option when it comes to seller's assist, and a lot of people don't understand actually how much seller's assist the client can get as a veteran. A lot of companies market 4% being the max, which is incorrect. It's 4% of escrows, which is taxes, insurance, and interest for 30 days is the 4%. The client can have all of their closing costs paid by the seller if the seller agrees, which typically 6% typically covers it. So that's the max seller's assist, allowed on a VA is, there really is none, in layman's terms. So
you're telling me in most cases, if a veteran wants to get in with no money out of pocket, that's possible? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. So, if actually a veteran can actually get money back at the closing table for money they put in. So if they get enough seller's assist with the 0% down program, they can actually typically get back their appraisal and hand money if they get enough sellers assist. So it definitely doesn't hurt to ask. I know over the past few years, it's kind of been held back, a lot in the industry, like, as far as being competitive. But I think it's very unfortunate if they're uninformed and they don't get the opportunity to ask for it, because it's a great program for veterans that, fight for the country and keep us safe. So why not, allow that option to be available for them to buy a house with little to no money down? It's what it's there for.
Yeah, I mean, plain and simple, if it is the buyer's one obstacle is cash to close, call one of us. You need to talk to one of us. There are so many options out there to help with closing costs and seller assistance right now that should not be an obstacle. We need agents to be able to put in offers that can get the buyers in the house, but there are programs out there that can help buyers with cash to close if that's the number one issue. Because it's his first episode with his camera on, we'll let Matt take pick number 2 here. So VA sounds pretty solid. Get seller assistance, get money back at closing in some cases. Buy a house, get a check at closing. That sounds pretty good to me. So if you are a veteran, if you want to have the opportunity to get into a house and get a check back at closing, sounds like you need to call Anthony and get pre-approved.
There you go. So I'm up on the draw here with everything available except for VA. I'm going to stay on theme then. I'm going to stick with the FHA loan. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's pretty straightforward. One of the reasons I'm going to go with it here, but the seller's assistance maximum is really the only limit you're going to see is the full 6%. Of your sales price. And the key with FHA is that you're going to need to have your minimum down payment of 3.5% into the transaction. So that 6% can be something that we keep an eye on as your loan officer. But there's different ways to make sure if that's an option to use all of it, something to contact us about. Maybe buying the interest rate down in points can be a very valid way to get a buyer, competitive interest rate to get their payment down by also using it, the seller's assistance to cover it.
You are absolutely correct, Matt. I think the biggest misconception or one thing that agents and buyers can't wrap their head around is if you have a $300,000 loan amount and you're going FHA, $18,000 is the max seller assistance there, 6%. There's probably not $18,000 of closing costs. And the seller assistance, like Matt just said, can only cover the closing cost. It can't cut into that down payment. So there are cases, now the market's different with rates probably being able to buy it down, but if there's no extra closing costs, we can't just magically make up closing costs. There's been times, I'm sure you guys have all had it, right, where an agent negotiated 6% seller assistance. We just can't use it all. And some of it has to go back to the seller at closing. And it's like World War III 2 days before closing, when it's like the buyer is literally, there's no more costs to lower. The buyer is only bringing their 3.5% down. And I'm getting screamed at that it's a bad thing. So
that's your fault, Ryan. That's your fault. You should have made it more expensive. You should have made the loan more expensive.
I mean, should we just add closing costs at that point? I don't know how to explain it.
There's certain senses we can buy the rate down, possibly use discount points in that factor, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why it's still never a bad thing, because, when it comes down to it, even if you run into that scenario, right, I mean, it's still a win-win. Buyer comes in with their 3.5% on an FHA transaction, and seller might, end up having to pay a little less than assistance. So they might get a couple extra bucks on their bottom line. So I think that's still a win-win. And that's why I still think that's a great product, great option.
I agree with you. I think it's a win-win, but I also think it's important that if you're an agent, if you're structuring that offer, please work with us. We are happy to talk things over and confirm exactly what you need, so you're not over asking for seller assistance. Maybe you only need 4.5% and then a set of 6%, and maybe that is the difference in winning the deal. So just don't willy-nilly always ask for the max. And I think that's another misconception, is we always talk about the max seller assistance. You can always go under the max. It can always just be a percentage or a dollar amount less than the max. But
I was just going to say that, Rye. I mean, you're exactly right. Nail on the head. All the time we talk about the max, but really it's any dollar amount under that. So say your client needs to get to a bottom number of, hey, we're comfortable bringing 10,000. Maybe it is only then you ask for 5,000 on a 200,000 purchase. It's very well can be a strong offer, but it doesn't need to be completely maxed out every time. You can still leave yourself some wiggle room, maybe in an inspection negotiation, something that can change during the process.
I mean, and let's all be honest. If a buyer's been in their house for 5 years or longer, they're like, I don't know who it was on DuckTales. Who was the cartoon guy that used to just have the bank full of money? These sellers are sitting on their beds just throwing dollar bills in the air. There's so much equity that sellers have. Like, come on, we don't need to be that greedy. Let's keep this market going. And a little bit of seller assistance can go a whole long way to offset these higher interest rates. And I mean, if you got houses bumping up at 10% a year, I think sellers can afford a couple thousand in seller assistance. That's just me. Maybe I'm an optimist, but everyone needs to work together rather than just saying, oh no, high rates, the world is ending. Let's just work with the market and figure out ways around this. But great talk on FHA. You must be an FHA expert, Matt.
You know it.
Mr. Burko, 2 left.
Yeah, I'll run down the conventional for us real quick here. So 3 different conventional, you're allowed to get 3 different percentages depending on what percentage you are going to put down. So I'll start with the lowest first. So if you are putting anywhere up to 9.99% down, under 10% down, you are capped at 3% seller's assist on that. We typically won't run into you not having your down payment on the 3%. So that is typically the max on those low down payment conventionals. The next one would be if you do 10% down to 24.99% down. Typically, we see this on the 10% down transaction. You are allowed to get 6% seller's assist. I'm actually closing a loan this Friday, and after inspections, there was a few things that went wrong, and this person was doing 10% down conventional, and they actually were able to get 5.75% seller's assist and use it all. So this house was in the city of Pittsburgh, higher transfer taxes, those types of things that add more cost to this loan. But they were able to get 5.75 on a 10% down. So that is one misconception, is that you think that conventional is capped at 3%, but it really isn't if you do put that larger down payment down. There has been one occasion in my short career that I have done more than 6% down, and you are allowed to do 9% seller's assist max if you have 25% down on a conventional loan. This happened to me one time before. The house actually needed a new sewer and a new roof, and the seller's assist that we took from that was 7.25%. So not the full 9 they were able to negotiate. That's not how much it cost to fix. Well, you're all right, Matt.
Yeah. The tugboat came by.
Joel's ready for breakfast. Let's go.
Holy cow, that scared me.
But yeah, so
years.
so that 25% down does allow you to get a little bit more. And that's typically, somebody that's going to be buying a larger home, maybe putting more down. Maybe it's their second or third home with a larger down payment and something's wrong with that house. We may start to see that here moving forward. Again, I've only seen it one time in my short career, so it's not very common to our area. But tides could turn. We never know what's going to happen.
That's a great point, Tom. And what you just said there, conventional loans are probably the most, they're a little confusing just because it's based off the down payment. So you need to know what your buyer's putting down to know the max seller assistance your buyer can get on a conventional. And please remember another big misconception: if it's an investment property, you're capped at 2% seller assistance. So those guidelines Tom just went over are out the door. If it's not a first or second home, if it's an investment property, 2%. So that gets people bit on the butt a lot. We'll have an investment property come in with the 6% assist, and that's just not allowed due to mortgage guidelines. But
one thing I want to add real quick, you bringing up that investment, kind of off topic, but kind of not. You are not allowed a gift fund on an investment property. You cannot take a gift from anybody. They have to be on the loan. So just wanted to bring that up real quick, throwing in weird caveats with investments.
Mortgage guidelines are all weird. But what we want to talk about here is when a agent goes, Brian, Tom, Anthony, Matt, why is this buyer conventional or FHA? What's the difference? Why are we doing this here? If a buyer doesn't have a lot of cash to close, FHA, we can do 6% seller assistance with 3.5% down. Where what Tom just said, you'd have to put 10% down to get 6% assistance. So conventional, you're only going to have that 3% seller assistance with the similar down payment. So frankly, buyers can get into the houses with less money out of pocket, FHA over conventional. And that's why a lot of times we would go FHA, or the credit score's lower and FHA allows that. So there's many different reasons of why we would go FHA over conventional. Please just don't throw FHA offers out the window. What a stupid misconception out there, that FHA loans are bad loans or the appraisal is god awful. I see the same things popping up on conventional appraisals at FHA, but no one will listen to me. And for some reason, there's this misconception. But
seems lazy. Seems lazy.
We'll clear that off the table. FHA is practically the same process as conventional. So we need to start accepting FHA loans again. But the last loan type for me, I guess, is USDA, which is rural housing. It's a 0% down loan, and it's the same guideline as FHA, 6% seller assistance. But because it's 0% down, if you get that full seller assistance, there's a big chance the buyer is going to be bringing little to no money out of pocket. And it's another program to get buyers in the homes with little to no money out of their pocket. So USDA is rural housing. It's the only program that the buyer and the house both have to qualify. But if you're in those outlying areas, if you believe you have a listing that's in a USDA eligible area, market that, because that's going to bring up your buyer pool, 0% down, offer some seller assistance. Man, it's going to get a lot of renters into a property, right? Because a lot of those renters are worried about that initial bang with their down payment and cash to close. The monthly payment they're paying already. With these rent numbers, they're paying already. So market to those renters, get those renters stop renting in the homes. And an easy way to do that is with some seller assistance. Man, guys, it's been a pretty awesome talk. We've gone way too long.
Didn't feel like it, I'll tell you that.
Matt has to cook pancakes with the daughter. Tom has to probably not cook pancakes. And I don't know what Italians eat for breakfast. Probably pasta. So.
Anthony's making some spaghetti for breakfast, lasagna for lunch.
Some sausages. Some spaghetti and sausage.
Oh, man. All right, boys, that's all I got. Anything to wrap it up?
No, great episode,
Enjoy
guys.
the rest of your
Thanks
week.
for having us.
Enjoy the ocean. Thanks, Maddie.
guys.
All right, see you.
Bye.